we have had long and arduous conversations related to the phenomenon called urban ministry. These conversations have included a critique of parachurch ministries and the use of the word ministry in general. The primacy of God's bearing witness through the life of local congregations relegates all other Christian witness to a secondary position at best. Mike and I both have parachurch in our background, and they're exciting and they're encouraging in some ways, and they get some stuff done, and we're appreciative of what they do. But what they don't do well is critique the church and do something about it in a way that helps the church. They tend to be driven by needs. They tend to be driven by what's going on in culture, not what's going on in the church. So they're driven more toward meeting some particular need that they find out there rather than helping churches mature, which we think is really important. As we began 25 years ago talking about some of these things, there was a lot of pressure on a church in the city to do urban ministry. And urban ministry is just a way to categorize certain events, certain priorities, and particularly certain people in particular ways. So ministry in and of itself, while there are a lot of positive benefits from it, it categorizes people, us against you. You know, we're the benefactors and you're the poor slobs that need our help, or you're our clients, or you're our customers, or you're our whatever, but you're not us. And we're not all in this together. We're not really a community. We're the provider of your lack. You know, we have the supply, you have the place for us to distribute the supply. And so this just causes so much harm out there in people's relationships, just in culture at large, in social orders, and when people aren't in the whole thing together. So we recognized that what we really needed to be about was maturing the church, which is no different whether you're in an urban place, a suburban place, or a rural place. The task is still the same. It's to help a church mature. There is no, I suppose there is such a thing as urban ministry, but it's not it's more like one of those moral fictions of Alasdair MacIntyre's.
Well, one of the great ironies is there's two great ironies. One, the people who were doing urban ministry understood very little about what urban was. I mean, they weren't reading, thinking, talking with people about what's actually going on in cities. It was oblivious. They knew that someone called it urban and they were in ministry. The other thing that was just kind of ironic is that they would be doing ministry in a place as if the 10% of the people who really were struggling was the entire population. The 90% of the people who just stayed in the neighborhood because that was their neighborhood, and they had a house and they mowed their yard and they went to work, and while they weren't rich, but they just were there, but they were invisible. And so a very large portion of the neighborhood was invisible to people. And that was another thing that urban ministry did. It made people invisible. At least with churches, you thought about all your neighbors, and even if you were marketing and you were doing the whole church growth thing, at least you saw all the people as potential members. And urban ministry was about fixing particular people and then moving on.